The first time we meet a siren at Nevermore, there's nothing really threatening about it. Bianca is charismatic, talented, and seems totally in control. She quickly rises to the top of the social food chain, becoming the most popular student on campus. But as the season unfolds, it becomes clear Sirens aren't just another group of outcasts. They might be the most dangerous ones of all, not because they're the strongest or the most powerful in battle, but because they can mess with something far more vulnerable: your emotions. Their powers let them manipulate feelings, twist perceptions, and influence choices, all without anyone even noticing. And the craziest part, they don't even have to sing. A siren's voice is always active, subtly persuasive, emotionally charged, constantly shaping the outcome of every interaction. In this video, we're diving into why the Sirens might just be the most feared and intimidating group at Nevermore Academy. But real quick, if you're into breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button. Most people watching haven't subscribed yet, so make sure you don't miss what's coming next. In the mythology of Wednesday's series, every type of outcast comes with a legacy. For Sirens, it's all about vocal and aquatic abilities, but more than that, they're the sharpest embodiment of emotional manipulation within a social setting. At Nevermore, Sirens operate as a tight-knit group known as the Scales. They're influential, articulate, and they tend to hold key positions in clubs, on student councils, and even in the school's own leadership structure. What sets them apart isn't just their supernatural gift, but how effortlessly and often subtly they use it. Whether they're aware of it or not, their influence is almost always active, in the water or out of it. This ability, known as the Siren Song, doesn't even need to be sung. There's no melody required. Sometimes it's just a tone, a phrase, a moment you didn't even realize was important. Any interaction can become a channel through which they subtly implant their will into someone else's mind. And within the social ecosystem of Nevermore, that makes them powerful. Like aristocracy powerful. They manage information, build strategic alliances, and shift the direction of entire groups, often with just a word, a glance, or a perfectly timed pause. What makes it truly dangerous, though, is how invisible that control can be. You won't even notice when you started trusting them, or when you began doing exactly what they wanted all along. That subtlety, the ability to dominate without ever raising a hand, is exactly why Sirens are feared, respected, and at the top of the food chain at Nevermore. Sirens aren't just outcasts with a cool set of abilities, they're social strategists. Everything about how they operate reveals a carefully built system of influence that almost no one dares to question. Remember early on when Enid warns Wednesday about the Sirens? She points out Bianca as the most popular and influential student, not just at school in general, but even within her own group. And as the story unfolds, we start to see why. Sirens consistently dominate events like the Po Cup, not just because they're skilled, but because they use their powers to gain a serious edge over the competition. What's more unsettling, though, is how normalized that influence has become. For Sirens, persuasion isn't seen as manipulation, it's just part of who they are. And that raises a tricky moral question. How much of it is a choice if your identity is tied to how you influence others? Where does the real you end and the manipulation begin? That tension plays out especially in Bianca's storyline, particularly in her complicated relationship with Xavier Thorpe. It's a constant push and pull between what she wants and what others think she made them want. In daily life at Nevermore, Sirens tend to rise to the top of the student hierarchy. They lead clubs, captain teams, and often end up being the most influential voices in key moments. Bianca leads the school's a cappella group, the Pitch Slaps, and while her talent is undeniable, it's her ability to guide, persuade, and quietly dominate that really sets her apart. What makes Sirens dangerous isn't what they say, it's how they make people feel. In a place like Nevermore, where everything is a competition, that emotional influence turns every interaction into a rigged game. One most students are already losing before they even realize it. There's also a specific kind of isolation that comes with being a siren. Yes, they're always seen together, always in the spotlight, but real connections outside their circle, rare. Partly because other students don't trust them, but also because sirens know the truth, it's hard to tell the difference between genuine affection and influence when your power is always on. And that quiet loneliness? It surfaces in one of the most revealing moments at the Raven Dance ends when Bianca herself admits it. Even with all the admiration, she's alone in a way no one else quite understands. At Nevermore, the toxicity of the Sirens isn't just a matter of personality, it runs deeper. It's structural, systemic, and in many cases, inherited. Unlike other outcast groups who often face external challenges like repression or marginalization, Sirens deal with something internal, a built-in tendency toward control. Whether intentional or not, their power is designed to influence others, and few characters reflect this complexity more clearly than Bianca Barclay. On the surface, Bianca is the ideal student, eloquent, respected, commanding, and wildly talented. But as the series unfolds, it becomes clear that her success has a shadow side, one built on quiet manipulation. Take her past relationship with Xavier, for example. There are subtle but undeniable signs that their connection may have been, at least in part, influenced by her powers. The fact that Xavier himself questions whether his feelings were ever real or just the result of a siren's pull highlights how thin the line is between emotion and control in this world. But this pattern didn't start with Bianca. She's a product of something older, something generational. Her mother, Gabrielle, is an even more powerful and much more dangerous siren, and in the brief moments we get with her on screen, it's clear. Unlike Bianca, Gabrielle's toxicity is deliberate. She manipulates openly and unapologetically, using her power for her own gain, so much so that Bianca has distanced herself from her mother entirely. What makes Gabrielle so disturbing, though, isn't just her behavior, it's her mindset. She doesn't see her actions as harmful. For her, making people do what you want isn't unethical, it's just how the world works. That belief isn't something she teaches Bianca directly, it's something she models. It's a legacy passed down not as a lesson, but as an example. And when mother and daughter reunite at Nevermore, their tension isn't just personal, it's philosophical. Gabrielle believes power should be used. Bianca is trying to unlearn that, but it's part of her, whether she likes it or not. Which brings us to the heart of the siren dilemma. How do you exist in a world where your very presence can override someone else's will? How do you form real relationships when your gift is the ability to bend others to yours? The toxicity of the Sirens goes way beyond school drama. It seeps into families, romantic relationships, and even institutional decisions. Just look at Gabrielle. Her influence is so woven into her identity that no one around her dares to challenge it. And that's the danger. Not just that Sirens control people, but that they've built a world where that control is invisible and often accepted as normal. For Sirens, persuasion isn't just a power, it's part of who they are. Unlike other abilities that can be hidden, turned off, or controlled with effort, Siren influence is always on, subtle, fluid, and often unconscious. That creates a tough question. Is it even possible for a siren to exist without controlling others? Or is every interaction destined to be shaped, even warped by that invisible force? The show hints that there is another path. And Bianca, once again, becomes the clearest example of that possibility when she stands up to her mother and distances herself from Morning Song, the organization Gabrielle leads. She takes her first real step toward breaking the cycle. It's more than just rebellion. It's a deliberate attempt to separate her identity from the manipulative legacy she was raised in. Bianca's journey becomes about more than just resisting power. It's about searching for authenticity. She wants real connections, real choices, and a future where being a siren doesn't automatically mean shaping others' thoughts to fit her own. It's not about rejecting her gift, but redefining it, turning it into something rooted in empathy, ethics, and emotional intelligence rather than control. Drop your thoughts about the Sirens down in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, share it with someone who's just as into the Wednesday series as you are. And if you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and follow us on Instagram for even more content between uploads. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.